Hello everyone, and welcome to 5 Hidden Secrets in Resident Evil Village. Some of these have gone undiscovered by diehard fans as well as newcomers, meaning that you probably won't know some of these. I apologize if I fumble my words, stutter, or mispronounce. I'm new to Resident Evil Village. The Resident Evil series is no stranger to breakable hidden collectibles, going as far back as Resident Evil 4 with the Blue Medallions. Capcom has made several hidden breakables a staple for fans to hunt for. These collectibles take the form of wooden goat statues in Resident Evil Village. They are fairly small in size, and their dull brown color can make them easy to miss in most environments. Luckily, the goats have a little wooden rocking sound associated with them. Players who can't spot them visually can often figure out their position via the subtle wooden sound effect the statues give off. There are a few goats that take this advantage away though, making their collection even more difficult. One of the harder to spot goats can be found on the series of wooden suspension bridges leading to the Benevito house. I apologize if I pronounced that wrong. There is no sound cue, and players won't spot the little goat unless they look to the suspension bridge to their left. The goat can be spotted near the middle of the smaller bridge. As you can see, its coloration and size makes it hard to spot amongst the wooden colors and the rope. Nearly every Resident Evil game ever features a Magnum, with some features more than one. The Magnum is often hidden behind a few puzzles, as it's the most powerful weapon in the game, save for any type of rocket launcher. Village hides its Magnum inside a fairly easy-to-forget area just outside of Salvatore Moreau's main territory. After fighting through the entire reservoir area, players will be able to return to the Duke with yet another rose flask. Many players will be eager to push ahead as the end of the game seems nearly in sight. As a result, they may miss the Magnum entirely. Players should be sure to backtrack to the first windmill they come across before entering the reservoir and use their newly obtained crank to open a new side path. After following this path and defeating some enemies, players will eventually come across Moreau's mountain laboratory, where they will find the Magnum. Again, sorry if I blow on the mic or stutter. Here's a picture of the gun where you can find it. The casing behind it is where it came from. Karl Heisenberg acts as the final of 4 lords that players must battle through to reach Rose and Mother Miranda. His domain is quite different from any of the other lords. Heisenberg is holed up in a dark factory running twisted experiments on villagers. Most will die, but many more are transformed into intimidating soldat enemies. The soldats are most similar to monsters faced in Resident Evil Revelations 2 and can easily drain a player's ammunition and health. Running from these enemies is often a better choice than fighting them all off. While this saves ammo and sometimes healing items, it can lead to easily missing secret walls inside Heisenberg's factory. These walls can be found on the B4 level of the factory and are marked by yellow paint and a large crack. Breaking them requires an explosive of some sort, but many landmines can be found across the factory, so opening them shouldn't be a problem. Here are a few of the hidden walls. I apologize that it's a bit shaded in the pictures, so you can't see too well. Breaking these walls can often give you a few valuable items. Heisenberg is arguably the most popular villain in Resident Evil Village, aside from Lady Demetrius, sorry, I can't say her name, and her daughters. His slick design, control over metals, and intimidating hammer make him an interesting adversary, liked by many players. Interestingly enough, players never have to face Heisenberg while he's wielding the wicked gear hammer, and it instead becomes a valuable treasure for Ethan to sell. The hammer isn't easy to find, though. It's broken into 2 combinable treasure parts found across the B4 level of the factory. Players will need to do some backtracking through soldats in order to complete the hammer and sell it to the Duke. After obtaining the key mold and crafting Heisenberg's key, players should immediately return to B1 instead. They should search for Heisenberg's quarters and unlock them with their newly acquired key. This will get the second piece of the hammer, assuming players have already destroyed the broken wall on B4 to get the first piece. With both pieces in hand, players can craft Heisenberg's hammer inside the treasure menu and sell it for a hefty 45,000 lei. Here's a picture of the fully crafted gear hammer. It looks quite indestructible. Fans who played Resident Evil 7 will remember the numerous orange tin boxes spread across the Baker estate. Some contained useful items like lockpicks, while others contained nothing but squirming heaps of maggots. They were always bright and noticeable against the otherwise dark and dreary backdrops of the Baker's home. As it turns out, Resident Evil Village gives a nod to these old boxes inside Donna Benevento's house. The majority of the time spent in the house will be centered around the doll of Mia Winters that players have to take apart for clues and puzzle items. Connected to this room is an operating room with a locker to hide in and a few items to snag. On one of the shelves, a large orange box can be found, looking rather out of place amongst all the other items. Players who have played Resident Evil 7 will immediately recognize it as an old orange box from the Baker estate, complete with the floral pattern on top. And that's going to be about all for today. Thank you all for watching. Thank you, everybody, for giving the time out of the day to watch. Like I said, I really do apologize that I had to, I stuttered a bunch, being completely honest. I really did. I stuttered a ton, and I mispronounced probably a whole bunch of stuff. So I really do apologize that I didn't say more stuff correctly. I really do. And I apologize for any thing that I might have had a problem with. I really do. I'm sorry I didn't script at the end and stuff.